What's up? Just waiting for the rest of the streams to come on. It looks like we are good now. So we're going to get into it today. We're going to be talking about a crucial skill that you need in order to be more successful in your sport. Just trying to see if I can see comments coming in through the live stream. Apparently not. So if I'm not saying anything to you, I apologize. But we're going to get into a crucial skill you need to be mastering if you are going to be successful in your sport, and that is time management. But before we get into the show, as always, if you are tuning into this on the replay, make sure to drop me a comment and let me know that you're listening. And as the show goes on, let me know what you're taking away. I always love hearing these takeaways. I love hearing what you guys are getting from this show. I've gotten a ton of great feedback from it so far. So I'm always very, very happy when I'm getting those messages. So I appreciate those who take the time out to do that and those who take out the time to leave reviews for the show as well. Now, time management. So as we get into it, make sure that you are sharing the show with a friend, with a teammate, with someone who is going to need to hear this message, because this is an important one. But let's get straight into it. We're going to get going talking about time management in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponent and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are going to be talking about an extremely crucial skill that you need in order to be successful in your sport, and that is time management. So why did this topic come up for me? Because I talk to a lot of athletes. You know, most of my day is spent either talking to my own clients, talking to athletes asking me questions on social media, talking to people inquiring about working with me and my company. And most of my day I'm spending talking to athletes. And one of the very common struggles that I hear come up, one of the things that I hear so many athletes speak about is they want to level up their training. They want to, build their gas tank. They want to do everything they need to do and take their sport seriously, make it to the top, but they just don't have the time to fit it in. They tell me that this is the most important thing in the world to them, but I just don't have the time to do any more. I'm already doing so much. I have to work, I have to train, I have to sleep every once in a while, and it just becomes too much. So if you're listening to this right now, I want to know if this resonates with you. I want to know if you feel like, these goals you have for your career are extremely important to you, but putting extra time and effort compared to what you're doing already just feels like too much. Adding in extra sessions or, getting life taken care of on top of all the training that you're doing. Let me know if it just feels sometimes like it's just too much to handle. Because if it does, you're not alone. I know we have this mentality in the elite performance sport space, in the sport world as a whole, that you always need to be doing more. If you're not able to, basically be superhuman, then that just means you're soft and you don't want it badly enough and all this kind of random shit that I hear all the time. But if you feel like you're overwhelmed sometimes, if you feel like life just kind of gets in the way and you can't maybe prioritize the sport as much as you want to, you're not alone in feeling that. I hear that from athletes every single day. And the difference is, instead of sitting there and saying it's too much to add in more work, or it's too much to, start doing these extra sessions or whatever else you might need to do, instead of just sitting there and saying it's too much, so I won't do it, those who actually succeed say, yeah, it's too much right now, so let's find a way to do it. So I want that to sink in. It's not about saying, hey, it's too much, so I can't. It's about saying, hey, it's too much, so let's find a way to make it not too much. Because if you have the audacity to want a career as a professional athlete, if you have the audacity to want to compete at the highest level, guess what? You got to find a way. These things are not negotiable. These things are not, things you can decide. Do I want to train hard? Do I not want to train hard? Do I want to lift weights? Do I not want to lift weights? Do I want to do my conditioning work? Do I not want to do my conditioning work? This isn't negotiable if you want to be successful at this. It's just not. So instead of sitting there and saying, I don't know how to fit it in, it's too much, I can't do it, switch your mindset to, I don't know how to fit it in, so let's figure out how to do it. And that is what we're going to get into today. And actually, I just saw a comment that fits perfectly into that. If you need more conditioning, substitute another day of training for it. And yes, yes, yes. So many fighters out there are training 6 or 7 days a week. And guys, guess what? If you take one of those days off of fight training, you're not going to forget how to fight. If you substitute that Wednesday pad session for a structured conditioning session, you're not going to forget how to fight. I want to really reinforce that you will not forget how to fight. But what you will happen is you're going to be in better shape. You're going to be better conditioned for the fight. And in turn, by substituting out that pad session and actually focusing on your conditioning, you're going to do better in the fight when it comes along. So awesome comment, Bo Bentley. I appreciate you. Now let's get into it. So how do we start to manage our time better? How do we get around that question of it's too much, I can't do it? And how do we flip that mindset to figuring out how to do it? Number one is a morning routine. Now, I know you've probably heard a lot of, high level people talk about morning routines and, oh, you need all of this whole big list of things that you need to do in the morning. I'm not going to sit here and say that. The morning routine can be whatever works for you. But the benefit of it and what you're going to get from it is having a consistent start to your day. So you start your day by stacking wins and you start your day by eliminating chaos. So for myself, as an example, I have a list of mindset stuff that I do in the morning. It's not very long. I have 2 or 3 items on it that I do every day. And then I have a list of things that prime my day for success. So I have my company vision written over top of my desk. And so every morning I review that. I read the whole thing out loud. I set my intentions for the day, and then I get to work. So all this does is this just sets every single day up for success. I wake up at the same time, so I know that I have the same amount of time every single morning. And then I do that list of 3 to 5 things that just set my mind up for understanding what's got to go into today, understanding what I'm trying to get out of today, and in turn, understanding what I need to do to be successful today. So being able to do this just, again, eliminates chaos and makes sure that you're starting every day in a calm state of mind and you're starting every day more organized. Part of my morning routine is writing out everything that I have going on in that day, meetings that are at specific times, coaching sessions that are at specific times, just so I know, okay, today, as an example, Fridays, when I'm recording this, I have a 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock training session. So I know that if somebody calls me and says, hey, I want to meet this afternoon, it cannot be after 4 o'clock. So I'm not sitting in that state of disorganization and I'm not sitting in that state of not knowing what to do or not knowing when to do it, because every single morning I'm getting that under control. Now, again, this doesn't have to be a very long routine. Usually mine's no longer than 30 minutes. And then after that, when I actually have that list written out, when I do that and have everything that I have on that day written out, everything that has times assigned to it, obviously are written out with those times. And then the next thing that allows me to do is set up the rest of my day. So if I know I have a training session to do that day, and I know my evening is booked full, I know that chances are at 8:30 when I finish tonight, I'm not really going to want to train. So I know that if I have a training session to do today, I'm booking that in earlier in the day. So 1 o'clock this afternoon, I'm lifting weights. And that allows me to just set the day up. And then the big key there comes down to the mindset you hold around that. So if you're an athlete, the way this would work is you have your morning routine, you have your wake up time that you have every day. You have your 3 to 5 things you're doing in the morning to just prime your day for success. And then when it comes to adding in a strength and conditioning session, if you don't know what time you're going to do it, look at your day. Okay, I've got jujitsu at 9 o'clock. I've got, sparring tonight. And again, I'm pulling things out here. I know obviously your days are all going to be different. I've got work from 12:30 to 6, and then I'm sparring right after. So chances are, if I'm going to get that strength session in, it's got to be either at 10:30 when I finish my jiu-jitsu class or earlier in the morning. So that allows you to set up what the day looks like and not let that day fall into chaos. And the mindset around setting up the day like that is now every step of that day, you need to look at it as if it's your job. right? Because obviously, if you don't go to work, you get fired. So if you are trying to succeed in the world of high performance sport and you understand the fact that strength and conditioning is not an optional thing that you can decide whether or not you want to do, it is a must in order to get you strong, powerful, fast, and well conditioned on the night of the fight. You understand that your recovery days are not an optional thing to do. They're a must in order to make sure that your body is recharging each and every week and you're setting yourself up for long-term success and for resilience to injury. You understand that this number of training sessions every single week is a must for you to succeed. Now, when you set those days up and you say, wow, okay, today's going to be a pretty busy one, you've got to look at that as if it's your job. You've got to look at that as if I don't get to the gym today, I'm going to get fired and I'm not going to be able to be a professional athlete. Because if you can take that level of seriousness into it, if you can take that level of intensity into that day, now what that allows you to do is that allows you to prime your mind for what's going to happen when you are actually a professional athlete. Because guess what? If you're going to succeed in this game long term, you can't miss. You can't spend your time not having time or not knowing when you're going to fit things in or not knowing how you're going to do things. You need to be organized. You need to have your days set up. You need to have your brain able to handle the load as you move higher and higher up the ranks. So by organizing each day individually like that, you're going to put yourself in a position where you're surprised by your day less. And in turn, you're able to manage more things on your plate. Now, on top of that as well, excuse me. On top of that as well, one thing that has come in very, very handy for me is doing this same thing on a weekly scale too. So what I mean when I say that is every single Sunday, I sit down and I look at my entire week. I look at my week calendar and I look at what I have that's actually booked into the week. So as an example, I have a business coaching call every Tuesday at noon. I have my coaching sessions scattered through the week. I have a business coaching call as well every Friday at noon. And so I make sure I have a team meeting with the rest of my team for my company Mondays at 2. So I make sure that every piece of that week is scheduled in on Sunday. So when I'm looking at, a new project that I'm working on for my business, I know don't try to do this around 2:00 on Monday because I have my team meeting. I know I can do that earlier in the day from about 11 to 1:30. And then if I sit down right at 11 and start getting that work done, I'm going to get a lot of stuff done. And again, in turn, be able to manage more on my plate. So I do this at the start of the week and set up every single day through the week to make sure that everything I have is set up and I'm surprised by my day less and less and less and less. So if you continue to do that and you continue to do that consistently and the weeks are surprising you less and less as you go, now you're going to be able to fit more in during your week. Because if you're organized and you have those things all laid out for yourself, you're going to be able to fit in all of those extra training sessions, all of those extra recovery days, those appointments with physiotherapists, massage therapists, everything else you've got. And you're going to be able to run your life smoother and fit more into your week. Now, on top of actually scheduling everything out like that, there are a lot of other things you can start to do to better manage your time. And one thing that really stuck out to me that I think is going to be a huge help here too is setting time limits for things. So obviously for a training session, the time limit is a little bit more set by your coach, but little things, even like making sure that you're setting time limits for, how long you're staying around after the training session's over. Making sure that you're setting little time limits, even things like setting a bedtime. Guys, there's nothing wrong with being an adult that has a bedtime. Set it on yourself and make sure that you stick to it. And you're going to be able to be better rested. And in turn, your brain's going to be sharper. You're going to be able to handle more through your week. So setting little time limits for things, like as an example, when I sit down to work on a new project, I set a 1-hour time limit for that project that I'm working on. And because I have that 1-hour time limit set, I know nothing else gets in the way. The phone goes away. Everything else is away. I'm not touching anything. All I'm doing is working on that project. And so that allows me to get more done in each little period of time and in turn continue to progress faster simply by setting time limits. So obviously with athletes, depending on what we're talking about, training sessions, it's a little hard to say, I'm going to be out of here in 30 minutes when the coach is saying it's going to be an hour-long session. But if you find those little things you're working on or those little things you're doing that are dragging more time out, guys, even simple things like when you're sitting scrolling on your phone, set a time limit. I'm going to take 10 minutes to just chill, let myself scroll on my phone, and then I'm going to get off to the next part of my day. So make sure that you're setting time limits, make sure that you're being intentional, and in turn, you're going to be able to make better use of your day, fit more into your day, and progress further towards those goals you've got. So I appreciate you all for tuning in. I hope that was valuable. I hope you got a little something out of that. If you did, make sure to let me know what it was. And if you've got any questions based off of anything I was talking about here, make sure to send me a DM and we can talk a little bit more about it. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. And again, my one ask of you is share this show with a friend, with a teammate, with someone who is going to need to hear this message, someone who needs work on their time management. I know you are out there. I still do myself. So I hope you got something out of it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon.